Imam Hussain, the guardian of truth. The city of Medina lay in gentle slumber beneath the velvet sky, stars shimmering like tiny lanterns guiding the faithful to their creator. In a small house, modest yet more radiant than any palace, a baby's first cries filled the air. It was the 3rd of Shaban in the year 4 AH. Ali ibn Abi Talib cradled his newborn son, his eyes moist with gratitude and awe. Beside him stood Fatima Zahra, her face glowing with both exhaustion and joy. They brought the infant to the Prophet Muhammad, who was eagerly awaiting news of his beloved daughter's childbirth. As the Prophet held the baby in his arms, a tear escaped his eye. He kissed the child's forehead tenderly and whispered the words of Adhan into his tiny ears. Hussein, the Prophet's Imam, said softly, naming him as commanded by Allah through divine revelation. Then he wept. "O Messenger of Allah," Ali asked gently, "why do you weep?" The Prophet's voice trembled as he replied, "Jibril has informed me that my son will be martyred on the plains of Karbala. A day will come when he will stand against falsehood, and there will be none like him on the earth. He will sacrifice everything for the truth, and his blood will awaken sleeping hearts until the end of time." Those words sank deep into Ali and Fatima's hearts. A shadow of sorrow lingered even in their happiest moments, for they knew this child was born for a purpose far greater than any ordinary life. As Hussein grew, he became known for his beauty and grace. His eyes held a calm depth, as though he already understood the burdens of destiny. Whenever he walked through Medina holding his grandfather's hand, people would stop and marvel at their bond. The Prophet would say, "Hassan and Hussein are the leaders of the youth of paradise." He would often sit with them in his lap and embrace them tightly. On one occasion, when he saw Hussein stumble while playing, he hurried from the pulpit in mid-sermon and scooped him into his arms. "My Hussein is from me, and I am from my Hussein," the Prophet declared. "O Allah, love those who love Hussein." The companions understood that this child was no ordinary boy. He was the torchbearer of truth, destined to rise against the tide of corruption. The boy who once stumbled in the Prophet's arms was now a young man, walking with the dignity of a prince and the humility of a servant. Hussein ibn Ali, with his striking resemblance to his grandfather, had grown under the shade of divine guidance. From a young age, Hussein's days were marked by prayer, learning, and service. Medina, the radiant city of his birth, was alive with the memory of the Prophet Shams, who had passed away when Hussein was only a child. Yet his teachings lingered in the air like a sweet fragrance, and Hussein inhaled them deeply, carrying forward the legacy of mercy and justice. Even as a boy, Hussein's worship amazed those around him. He would often rise in the stillness of the night, standing in prayer while others slept, his soft voice reciting verses of the Quran. He fasted regularly, not out of obligation, but from a deep longing to draw nearer to Allah. His mother, Fatima Zahra, nurtured her sons with wisdom and love. From her they learned compassion for the poor, a fierce sense of justice, and the strength to endure suffering with patience. His father, Imam Ali, taught them courage and humility. Hussein watched his father's unshakable devotion to truth, even when surrounded by enemies. Ali once told his sons, "Be for the oppressed a helper, and for the oppressor an enemy." Those words sank into Hussein's heart and became the foundation of his character. The house of Ali was no stranger to trials. After the Prophet's passing, divisions and power struggles shook the Muslim community. Hussein saw how his father endured injustice and betrayal, choosing patience over chaos to preserve the unity of Islam. As a teenager, Hussein witnessed battles fought in the name of truth: Jamal, Siffin, and Nahrawan. Though young, he stood beside his father, not for love of war, but for love of justice. His sword was a servant of principle, never lifted, except in defense of what was right. After Imam Ali's martyrdom in the Mosque of Kufa, Hussein and his elder brother Hassan became the twin lights of the Ahlulbayt. Imam Hassan, the older of the two, inherited leadership. Hussein stood loyally by his brother's side, supporting him in times of peace and conflict. When Hassan signed a treaty with Muawiyah to avoid further bloodshed, Hussein accepted it, though his heart burned at the corruption he saw spreading in the Umayyad court. He understood his brother's wisdom. A time would come when open resistance would be necessary, but for now, patience was the weapon. Through these years, Hussein remained steadfast. He cared for the poor, taught the ignorant, and worked tirelessly to keep the Prophet's teachings alive. His generosity was legendary. He would often walk through the streets of Medina at night, carrying sacks of food on his back to deliver to widows and orphans. Few knew it was the grandson of the Prophet who knocked quietly at their doors. There were moments when Hussein seemed to glimpse his future. He would visit the grave of his grandfather, weeping and speaking to him. "Oh, my grandfather, your nation is destroying what you built. They have abandoned justice and embraced tyranny. Shall I remain silent, or shall I rise for the truth?" And it was as though he could hear the prophet's voice, urging him to prepare for the test that no man had ever faced. The death of Muawiyah in 60 AH was like the extinguishing of an old flame, but in its place rose a fire that threatened to consume the entire Muslim world. Yazid ibn Muawiyah took the throne not as a caliph to serve the ummah, but as a king demanding submission. Gone were the days when leadership meant humility and justice. Yazid's court was filled with wine, music, and men who cared nothing for prayer or piety. It was said he hunted wild animals with cheetahs and falcons, while the cries of the oppressed reached the heavens. In Medina, Imam Hussain watched in silence as letters from Damascus arrived, bearing Yazid's decree. Allegiance to Yazid is obligatory. Those who refuse shall face death. The governor of Medina, Walid ibn Utbah, summoned Hussein to demand his pledge. The night was thick with tension as Hussein walked towards the governor's palace, accompanied by his loyal family members and companions. He told them, "I have come to know that Yazid drinks wine, kills the innocent, and rules with injustice. A man like me does not give allegiance to a man like him." Inside the palace, Walid tried to persuade him gently at first, but Hussein's eyes blazed with the fire of truth. "We are the household of prophethood, the place where angels descend. Yazid is a man of corruption, and I will never give him my hand in pledge." Word of Hussein's stance spread like wildfire across the empire. In Kufa, a city that had once been loyal to Imam Ali, thousands of letters poured in, urging Hussein to come and lead them in revolt against Yazid. "O son of the Prophet, we are with you. Come to Kufa, and we shall fight by your side until truth triumphs over tyranny." At first, Hussein sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil to assess the situation. The Kufans welcomed Muslim with open arms and pledged allegiance to Hussein. It seemed the time for justice had arrived. But Yazid's governor in Kufa, Ibn Ziyad, moved swiftly. He terrorized the people, bribed their leaders, and brutally executed Muslim ibn Aqil. The Kufans betrayed their promises, and the hope of support crumbled like dust. In Mecca, Hussein stood before the Kaaba, his heart heavy. Hajj season had brought thousands of Muslims to the holy sanctuary, but Yazid's assassins lurked among the pilgrims, waiting for the moment to strike. Hussein realized Mecca could not be the battlefield. He would not allow the sanctity of the Haram to be violated. Standing beneath the stars, he spoke to his family and companions. "We are leaving for Iraq. Whoever is willing to offer his life for the cause of Allah, let him come with us. The oppressors will not leave us in peace." The caravan began its fateful journey towards Kufa. With him were his brothers, sons, nephews, and a few loyal companions. Women and children rode alongside them, their faces calm but their hearts bracing for the unknown. Along the road, Hussein met travelers and tribesmen who warned him, "O grandson of the Prophet, do not go to Kufa. The hearts of the Kufans are with you, but their swords are against you." But Hussein replied with unwavering conviction, "By Allah, even if I am killed, and my body is cut into pieces, I will not pledge allegiance to Yazid, for I am rising to reform the nation of my grandfather." Each night, he gathered his family and companions, preparing them for the sacrifice ahead. The children asked, "Where are we going, father?" Hussein would smile softly, though pain flickered in his eyes. "To a land called Karbala, my child, a land of trials, and a place where our blood will water the tree of Islam." The sun blazed mercilessly overhead as the caravan of Imam Hussain came to a stop. Wah! The horses pawed the dry earth uneasily, as though sensing the weight of destiny pressing down upon the land. It was the 2nd of Muharram, 61 AH, when Hussein and his family reached a barren plain near the banks of the Euphrates River. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the rustling of tents being pitched and the soft cries of children weary from the journey. Hussein dismounted and asked the name of the place. "It is called Karbala," a man replied. Hussein closed his eyes, and a shadow crossed his face. "This is the land of Karb, distress, and Bala, affliction," he whispered. "Here we shall pitch our tents. Here our blood will be spilled. Here Islam will be saved." No sooner had the tents been secured than news arrived. Yazid's army was approaching. Dust clouds rose on the horizon as horsemen emerged, first in hundreds, then thousands, until the desert seemed to swarm with soldiers. Omar ibn Sa'd, the commander of Yazid's forces, led an army of over 30,000 men. In stark contrast, Hussein's caravan numbered barely 70 souls. including women and children. The enemy surrounded Hussein's camp like a tightening noose. They were ordered to cut off access to the Euphrates, denying water, even to the children. From the enemy camp a cry went out, "Hussein, surrender and pledge allegiance to Yazid, or you will be destroyed." Hussein rose, his cloak billowing gently in the hot wind. He walked towards the enemy lines and called out in a voice as steady as the mountains, "O people, I have not come to fight, I have come to call you to truth and justice. Do you not see how Yazid corrupts the religion of my grandfather? Shall I submit to a tyrant? Never. By Allah, I would rather die with honor than live in humiliation." A few men in the opposing army lowered their heads, their hearts stirred by his words, but fear and greed kept most of them silent. Over the next days, Hussein addressed Yazid's army repeatedly, hoping to awaken their conscience. He reminded them of who he was. "Do you not know me? Am I not the son of your prophet's daughter? Did the messenger of Allah not say, Hassan and Hussein are the leaders of the youth of paradise?" But Ibn Sa'd's men were deaf to reason. Gold and threats from Yazid's court weighed heavier on their hearts than truth. As the days passed, the enemy grew more aggressive, and the water in Hussein's camp dwindled. On the night of the 9th of Muharram, Hussein gathered his companions in the dimly lit tent. He spoke gently, his face illuminated by the flickering light of a lamp. "Tomorrow we face death. The enemy seeks my life alone. I release you all from your pledge. Take the cover of night and save yourselves. Leave me and seek safety." But one by one, his companions rose and pledged their loyalty anew. Abbas ibn Ali, his brother, declared, "By Allah, even if I am cut into pieces and burned, I will never leave you, O Hussein." The others echoed the same. Not a single man abandoned him. As the sun rose on the 10th of Muharram, the desert was filled with a haunting stillness. Hussein and his companions performed their prayers and prepared for the day ahead. The women wept quietly, cradling thirsty children in their arms. The men sharpened their swords, knowing they would not see another sunset. Hussein donned the turban of his grandfather and mounted his horse. He looked upon his small band of warriors, and then towards the sea of enemy soldiers. His voice rang out across the battlefield. "O people, if you refuse to fear Allah and are not ashamed before Him, then be free in your world and come to me as men." The clash was imminent. The world seemed to hold its breath. The desert was silent. A haunting calm blanketed Karbala as the first light of dawn stretched across the horizon. The 10th of Muharram had arrived, the day destined to shake the heavens and earth forever. In Hussein's camp, the men performed their final prayers. Their voices rose softly in unison, mingling with the faint cries of children parched with thirst. Hussein stood in the stillness, his face radiant with a serenity that defied the horrors to come. He gazed upon his small band of 72 loyal souls, each one ready to give their life for truth. "Today," he whispered to himself, "faith will triumph over falsehood. Even if our bodies fall, our message will live on." As the sun rose, Umar ibn Sa'd's army of 30,000 advanced like a dark wave. The enemy drums thundered, and their archers prepared their bows. Hussein raised his hand, signaling to his brother Abbas, "O Abbas, may Allah reward you. Ride forth and remind them one last time of who we are." Abbas rode out, his voice powerful. "O people, this is Hussein, the grandson of your prophet. Why do you seek his blood? Did not the messenger of Allah say, Hussein is from me, and I am from Hussein?" But the enemy shouted back, "We know it well, but we fight because we fear Yazid's wrath. We will not drink from the same river until Hussein submits or dies." Arrows darkened the sky. The first wave struck, and the battle began. Hussein's companions stepped forward, each eager to defend him. Ali Akbar, Hussein's eldest son, asked permission to fight. He looked so much like the Prophet that Hussein's heart broke at the sight of him. "Go, my son," Hussein said, his voice trembling. "May Allah be with you." Ali Akbar charged into the enemy ranks, reciting, "I am Ali, son of Hussein, son of Ali. By the Lord of the Kaaba, we shall never bow to the tyrant." But the enemies surrounded him, and he fell under their swords. Hussein ran to his side, lifting his bloodied body. "O Allah, witness the sacrifice of the son of your prophet's daughter." The children's cries for water echoed across the camp. Little Sakina clutched her dry lips and looked at her uncle Abbas. "Uncle, do you hear the sound of the river? Will you bring us water?" Abbas's eyes filled with tears. He swore by Allah he would try. Mounting his horse, he broke through enemy lines and reached the Euphrates. Scooping water with his hands, He remembered the children. How can I drink when Sakina is thirsty? He filled his water bag and turned back. But on the way, enemies attacked from all sides. Arrows pierced his body. His right arm was severed, then his left. Still, he pressed on, until an arrow struck the water bag. Water spilled onto the sand. Abbas fell to the ground crying, "Oh, brother Hussein, forgive me. I could not bring water." Hussein rushed to Abbas, cradling his head. "Oh, moon of my family, after you. My back is broken." One by one, all of Hussein's companions fell. By afternoon he stood alone, his body weary, his heart heavy, yet his spirit unbroken. He looked toward the enemy ranks and called out, "O people, you have killed all my companions. You have left me alone. Know that I am the grandson of your prophet. Why do you seek my blood?" But the enemy remained unmoved. Hussein raised his hands in prayer. "O Allah, I have fulfilled my duty. I have left nothing behind. Accept this sacrifice from me." Mounting his horse Uljana, he charged into the enemy, fighting bravely until his body was pierced with and swords. As he fell, he whispered, "O Allah, is there anyone to help me?" In the heavens, the angels wept. Hussein's body lay lifeless on the burning sands of Karbala. His blood soaked the earth, but his sacrifice ignited a fire of truth that would never be extinguished. The enemy looted the camp, set fire to the tents, and took the women and children captive. Little Sakina searched for her father, crying, "Where is my Baba? Who will protect us now?" But the world had already changed. Hussein's stand had sown the seeds of resistance against tyranny for all eternity. The desert winds howled across the plains of Karbala, carrying with them the scent of blood and fire. The sun had set, but its heat still lingered on the scorched earth where the bodies of Hussein and his companions lay, unburied, beneath the open sky. The enemy had departed, leaving devastation in their wake. The tents of Hussein's camp were burned to ashes, and the cries of women and children echoed through the darkness. Among them, Zainab, Hussein's sister, stood tall despite her grief. Her clothes were torn, her face weary, but her eyes burned with an unshakable resolve. She cradled little Sakina, who clung to her tightly, sobbing, "Where is my Baba? Why won't he come to us?" Zainab pressed her lips to Sakina's forehead, whispering, "Your Baba has gone to Allah, my child, but his message remains. One day the world will know the truth." On Yazid's orders, the women and children of Hussein's camp were chained and taken as captives. Their journey to Kufa and Damascus was long and cruel. At every village they passed, people came out to mock and jeer, not knowing who these prisoners were. But when they learned this was the family of the Prophet, many were struck with shame and wept openly. In the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad ibn Ziyad, the governor of Kufa, Zainab was brought forward. Chains bound her hands, yet her voice rang out with defiance. "O Ibn Ziyad, do you think you have defeated us? You have killed Hussein, but you have not extinguished his light. You have cut his body, but his blood will awaken the sleeping hearts of this nation. Know this. You have only sealed your own destruction." Even the cruel governor was silenced by her words. In Damascus, the captives were paraded through the streets and brought before Yazid, the tyrant caliph. He sat on his throne, smug and victorious. But when Zainab stood to speak, the court fell silent. "O Yazid, do you think that by killing Hussein you have won? Nay, you have only disgraced yourself. By Allah, you will never erase his memory, nor will his blood be wasted. His message will echo through time, until justice rises and tyranny falls." The tyrant shifted uncomfortably on his throne. Even among his own people, hearts began to stir with guilt and rage against him. The captives were eventually released and returned to Medina, but the tragedy of Karbala had changed everything. Wherever Zainab and the survivors spoke, people wept and vowed never to forget Hussein's sacrifice. The blood of Karbala became a cry for justice across lands and generations. Hussein had fallen on the sands of Karbala, but his spirit stood tall for all eternity. On a quiet night, Zainab stood by the grave of her brother in Karbala. The stars above seemed to bow in reverence. "O Hussein," she whispered, "your mission is complete. You gave your blood for Islam. You refused to bow to tyranny, and for that, the world will remember you forever." From that moment, Karbala was no longer a barren plain. It became a sanctuary of love, sacrifice, and resistance, a place where truth was born anew. And across the centuries, voices would rise again and again. Every day is Ashura, and every land is Karbala. The story of Hussein is not just history, it is a call to every soul, to stand for truth, to resist oppression, and to never fear sacrifice. His blood still speaks, his message still lives.